What is going on, Sabres fans, and welcome back to another episode of Sabres Spotlight Podcast, where we shine the light on everything Sabres. Ryan, what is going on, my man? How are you feeling?
Dude, we hopped on here, about 15 minutes after the Sabres just whipped ass against the New York Islanders. So I'm feeling pretty damn good right now, man. I'm feeling great.
It was a great night. The Red Wings also just lost to the Coyotes, and you know what's funny about that game? So did you tune to the broadcast afterwards?
I did not.
So like you know how ESPN, I never know like if you get the away feed or the home feed, but I clearly tuned into the Red Wings feed, and the announcers were so depressed and
Just
sad.
devastated. Well, dude, I just saw the Red Wings. Dude, the Red Wings are on a 7-game losing streak, and they're being
Oh
outscored
my god!
36-12 in that time. They are
Yeah,
they're crashing and burning, man.
yeah. So they
You
were
know,
they were talking about how like I said, they sounded real sad and whatnot because the Coyotes just pumped them like 4-1, and they're like, well, the Sabres just beat the Islanders, which is good, but also the Sabres are closing in on the Red Wings now. I'm like, yeah, here we come.
oh my God, dude, I'm fucking buzzing right now. Like, oh, this is what we waited for all year for them to start playing this way.
Yeah. Oh
Don't let
yeah.
us get hot. Don't let us get hot at the end of the year because this is exciting. Again, another year of this, and maybe this time we sneak in. This is fantastic.
Well, and I need to start off before we get too heavy into the hockey talk. I need to start off by shouting you out because if you weren't like totally pulling a me last night and just getting sleepy, we would have been recording yesterday, and we wouldn't have been even more hyped, which would have still been a good show. But recording tonight after another big win is just like 10 out of 10.
Yeah, dude, I was on the couch, and you said that your daughter was not going to bed, and so you needed to postpone, and I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna make it and be able to get off my couch, so I called it off. And yeah, you're right, man. Great move by me, and we're both just feeling real, like just flying high right now. It's fantastic. I can't even speak. That's how excited I am.
It's a good feeling, man. It's a good feeling because this is what we wanted all year. Like we just wanted this team. We saw it last year and it was gone, and it feels like it's back and it's fun. And although the odds are still slim, who cares? We're in the hunt, and we're gonna do it. We're gonna beat the odds this year. I can feel it. Let's just ride that wave right now and ride that positive energy. But speaking of that, we want to get to the Islanders game tonight. Of course, that was a huge win. The 4-0 shutout. UPL gets shutout number 5. But let's take it back to the first of 3 games since we last spoke, because this is when we really started kind of putting things together here. So 3-2 win, overtime win versus the Edmonton Oilers. Oh, dude, and I forgot about this game. This was the crazy game where we won twice. We should have really got 4 points
Dude,
in this game.
I, I isn't it weird how like every game matters so much that it takes up a space in your brain, and just everything before that, it just disappears for me. So
Yeah,
I'm not retaining information because I'm putting so much into these games. And you are correct. Like, oh, I mean, this game was great. I mean, we're the McDavid stoppers for some reason. I don't get it. He's like he plays his worst games against us, and it's just the weirdest shit. But yeah, go
you know
ahead with
what's
the
so
rundown
you know
here.
what's crazy about that? What you just said is like I have this like weird anxiety in my like entire body right now that I'm riding such a high from that Islanders win that I'm just gonna completely forget like everything that I wanted to talk about and just sound like a total jackass like this whole show. But the Islanders game, or the no, sorry, the Oilers game. I mean, for me, it was. So I was in Splash Lagoon over the weekend, so I didn't see this live. This was the Saturday matinee, and I watched it back on replay, and I obviously heard everything that happened and whatnot. But the thing for me watching this game was like, man, the refing was terrible because I thought the Sabres played pretty good throughout, and they held their own against a real fast and quick Edmonton team. But man, there was like a few missed calls on us. There was like a terrible missed call on Power in the first period. He was leaving the penalty box, and I feel like we should have gotten a call on that. He would have had a breakaway, and then Tage gets called for a weak slash in the second on McDavid. Like whatever. But
Oh
then,
my God. Yeah, that was a this is our league star penalty, you know. He didn't
yeah,
even he hit him with a purse. Like he barely tapped him and they're gonna call that. I mean, we can talk about officiating with this Islanders game too, because someone out there is gonna have a Zach Benson phantom penalty highlight reel at the end of the year. But
oh
you're
yeah,
right, man. This Oilers game was just brutally officiated. I also feel like as it got later in the game, they just stopped. They just put their whistles away. Like guys were getting mugged on both teams. It felt like, and it was like, come
yeah.
on, man. Like call something or like at least be consistent.
Yeah, I don't mind that as much. Like as long as it's not like egregious, because like I think they should probably let him play more. But when you're missing calls and you're just again that weak hit on there, and then there was a and then Robinson he got cross checked in the third, which would have been a big penalty if they called it because it was at the 15-minute mark, so we would have got a potential power play late in the game. I mean that, and then the icing on the cake was just the of course the offside challenge. So I mean, by now everyone knows the story. So you win the game. Power scores in the shootout with 2 seconds
In
left,
overtime. In overtime.
in overtime, and both teams leave the ice. So my mother in law Dawn was actually at the game, and she's telling me she's like, yeah, she's like we left like right away, and then we they ended up coming back to the seats. I don't know something about how like she was like, oh yeah, like her she went with her sister, and they were like, let's just stay and see him celebrate. So they ended up actually staying, and thankfully they did because they didn't miss it. But yeah, what a debacle! What do you think about this? They call they end up calling it offsides, so they get back on the ice, go to a shootout, and the Sabres win in the shootout. But just total chicanery from the NHL and the officiating on this night.
Oh, chicanery, debauchery. You could just use any verb to describe what happened here. But the thing that bothered me the most is that it was millimeters offsides. Like
Oh yeah, it was not
we're
egregious.
talking skate blade length of offside. And the fact that the Oilers didn't even challenge and this was a league mandated review is bullshit. Like these players, they got off
Yeah, the
on
Oilers were
their
accepting it.
yeah, they had no idea it was offside. You gotta feel for the players too because okay, you just played an emotional game. Every game is emotional. You get off the ice. I bet some guys took their skates off. They took their equipment off. I don't know if both goalies like probably removed their equipment. And it's like, dude, it takes energy to put your gear back on and to force those players to come out and do a shootout after all that. And thankfully we won, like you said. I mean, just
The Oilers
disgusting.
guys look like they did not even want to come back out,
Yeah,
to be honest.
like UPL. I think did he had a save on McDavid and a save on Nugent Hopkins. Did he save the Drysdale one? I don't remember. Like I said, Jesus Christ, man, it's just hard to retain this information.
Draisaitl
But
scored.
okay, Drysdale scored. But to make these players come out and do a shootout right at like after all that, it was insane. I've never seen that before. I felt like it was ridiculous. And the Sabres, of course, the team just memed it to death, like, oh, we should get 4 points. Like all that stuff. It was
Yeah,
fun
yeah,
to
yeah.
see. And I honestly, that was a prime puck don't lie moment.
It really was, and also like kind of one of those games where like it seemed like a lot was going against you, and you find a way to get the win, and then in a weird circumstance like that, to me it just felt like this is the type of game that can really kind of propel a team forward, like give you some momentum. And the most important thing is it was at home. Like you
Yep.
went through some adversity at home, which is a place that you've struggled to deal with. And that building was loud, and the building's been loud, as we'll talk about with these next couple games, this mini 3 game homestand that they have going on, but that they won all 3 games on. That's a huge thing for this team because they're about to go on this West Coast swing. Well, they'll play Detroit, and then they're going to go out west for some Sabres after dark. If you can put a little rally together on the road where you've been playing good, and now you've gained some momentum at home because of games like this, and then the big Detroit blowout and a big shutout of the Islanders tonight. It's just all good vibes right now in Buffalo, and the building's been rocking. So this was a fun game, which leads us into the Red Wings and the absolute dummying of Detroit on Tuesday night.
Buddy, I have been saying on here, on Twitter, in real life, in various Sabres like message boards and like talking spaces, that I want to see the downfall of the Detroit Red Wings more than anything. if the Sabres don't make the playoffs, and as we know, like it's a long shot, I want to see us finish ahead of this team and pumping them 7-2, 7-3, whatever, score effects. Nobody was really trying in the third period. 7-3 at home. Oh, it felt so sweet. I was just drinking those Red Wing tears, man. It felt sweet.
Yeah, and the big difference. Well, I mean, everybody played good in this game for the most part. Um, Byram, 2 goals in this game, +4 rating. I mean, he's been a big difference maker, and I have to give credit to the power play. The power play has been clicking lately, and it's not just fluke goals. It's not just Tage bomb. Like they've actually had some good movement, and I like what I'm seeing from there. And I can't help but think that Byram has really kind of helped influence that and stimulate some of like the movement that we're seeing in things. But yeah, the game against Detroit was just it was partly I don't know, I'd like to see what you're thinking about this, but like to me it looked like the Red Wings just didn't even want to play. Like they there was no energy from the Red Wings all game. And every time I thought that like they had a good opportunity to come and maybe put a little pressure on the Sabres, it's just like the Sabres shut them down, which is a credit to them. But Detroit looked terrible. Like they looked like they didn't even want to be there.
Detroit is they're so interesting, dude. 'Cause so like their offensive underlyings are pretty decent. Like they're a pretty decent offensive team. Like once they get the puck in the offensive zone, like they're gonna score goals. Like they got firepower. Through the neutral zone and defensively, they are fucking terrible. Like I am not kidding. They are one of the worst teams in the league defensively, and we bullied them. We bullied them. We had crisp passes in the offensive zone, and you're right. Like we broke their will. I feel like as soon as we got up, after it was 2-1, as soon as we started like scoring, the third goal, the fourth goal, I feel like the their will was broken and it was over. Like that team, it's also great because they're on a massive losing streak. Like that was a team that could have been like, all right, fuck this. Like we're riding the ship now. Like let's beat this team that thinks they have hope. We're gonna crush their dreams, and we did the reverse. And that's the sign of a good knit team to go through that and just pummel them.
Yeah, and it's a good point you bring up about Detroit not being good defensively. Without looking, I have it up right now. Do you want to take a guess at how many more goals they've allowed defensively than the Sabres so far this year?
I no, I don't want. I'm gonna say a dumb number. Because ironically, the Sabres are like a good defensive hockey team. It's insane, dude. I'm like, holy shit.
Okay, so the Detroit Red Wings so far this season have allowed 222 goals, and the Sabres are at 198. So that's a
Yeah,
24 goal difference, which
that's a
is pretty
lot.
significant. The difference is that they've scored 25 more goals than us, but that was
Yep.
always their thing. Their shooting percentage was so high to start the year, and everyone was saying, "Oh, this isn't really sustainable, and are they going to come crashing back down to earth?" Well, boy, haven't they! And if you look at that, and that's actually like it speaks to the 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 defense that the Sabres have put together, and now Byram helping out with that. But the the play I wanted to talk about a little bit more in this game, and then we can move on to the Islanders from tonight. Was Baran Marty highlighted it on the I think it was the second intermission, but Byram it was his second goal, I believe, first or second goal, whichever one. But he's got it along the boards, and he's battling for the puck. It kind of clears up towards the blue line, and he sees Tage and whoever was there. I think maybe Tuck was there. So instead of going back to the blue line, he just immediately charges the net. And in the post game presser, he was like, "Well, I already saw them there, so I know I didn't need to go there. We were good, so I just went to the net." And then he cleans up the rebound and puts it in. And it's like that's the type of stuff like that. I think he can teach that to a lot of our guys, and we've been asking for them, and Don too, to his credit, even though I don't like to give him credit, he's been saying all year, we got to get to the net. We got to get to the net. And I don't know about you, but I have definitely seen the willingness to get to the net much more over these last handful of games. There's bodies
Yeah.
there.
I agree. We're making it tough on teams. And for the first 65 games or ish, we were one of the easiest teams to play against. Like, it's such a cliche in hockey where it's like, oh, you want to be tough to play against. Well, being tough to play against is getting in the goalie's kitchen and making it super hard on the defense. And you're right, that play by Byram, that just shows his offensive instincts too, because he activates towards the net and like, dude, you're a defenseman. Like, how often do you see defensemen pop up at the foot of the crease and jam home a rebound? Like, it's fantastic what he's provided to the team, and it's definitely given them a little boost, and they're all just clicking. Everything is clicking right now. It's fun to watch.
Yeah, because him and Darlene together is a lot of, because they both activate offensively and they can feed off each other. Like there's no way that was happening with Samuelson, like, and with
Yeah,
the
like
Samuelson Darlene pairing. It just wasn't happening as far as
yeah,
like both
because
of them engaging offensively.
right, because Samuelson's more of like a defender. Like, when he's on and not injured and playing through injury, he can defend. Like, he's got that long stick, that long reach, and I want to see him healthy and in the Sabres lineup eventually. But
Yeah, and he blocks shots. I mean,
yeah, Darlene playing with a guy that I would argue is just as good as he is. Like, I know Byram has not had the best season, and clearly, his quality of teammate is way lower than what he was getting here because now he's playing with our top dogs as opposed to playing with, the Avalanche's third and fourth liners
yeah,
and
yeah,
third D pair. You can tell his instincts are phenomenal. Like,
yeah.
he is just as good as Darlene, and I think Don Granato said today that Byram only has like 3 or 4 more games played in his career than Owen Power.
Really.
Yeah, because he missed so much time with
Yeah,
those
because of the
concussions 2 years
injuries and
ago.
things.
He's only 22 years old, man. Like, this guy's got sky high potential.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, it's working out. It's working out really good right now. So we'll transition into the Islanders
Oh,
game
no,
here
no,
that
no.
they
Wait,
did
hang
today.
on. One more thing I gotta say. All you fucking Patrick Kane fans out there. Yeah, aren't you glad you couldn't post his stupid little bullshit assists during that game? I saw so many Sabres fans be like, oh, look at all these Kane plays. Kane's playing so well. Oh, we should have got Kane. Fuck you. Fuck you. Go Sabres. Fuck Patrick Kane and fuck the Red Wings. That's all I gotta say.
Did we boo him?
I don't know. I mean, you really shouldn't. He's coming back here. Like, I mean, he chose them. People should be pissed.
I
He
know. Yeah,
chose them.
I don't think. I think it's hard because it's like how many. Like, there's not like. I mean, obviously, like fandom in Sabres hockey is like it's still there, but it's not as hardcore as it used to be because of the dog years and stuff. So I think if it wasn't the drought and this happened when, like in 06, 07, those teams, like, and he comes back, like probably then maybe you get it a little bit more just because everyone's tied in a little bit more to like what's going on and things. But I didn't hear any, but that's funny. But I love your little tirade there on Kane, and
It's
the
like
implosion is great.
we went back and forth on whether he should come here or not, and in the end, I think we really wanted him, and I thought he could have helped, and he's obviously playing well. I'm happy for him as a player because he's obviously like one of the greatest American hockey players ever. But hey, he didn't choose us, so go enjoy your team that's on a 7 game win streak, my friend. The Sabres
Seven
are
game
coming.
losing streak.
Yeah, losing streak. My bad. The Sabres are coming.
So real quick before we get into Islanders, so it's kind of interesting. If so, I'm just messing around on ESPN with their sorting tools and stuff. But if you sort the Eastern Conference out for goals against, the Sabres are actually the third best team in the
Yeah,
uh,
dude,
in the Eastern
it's a
Conference.
it's a combination of the defensive play and UPL looking like an actual Vezina, like a Vezina candidate. It is insane, man.
Well,
Like
yeah, because if you switch to goals for, we're second last.
yeah,
So there you
the
go.
offense has been the problem all season, and
Yeah.
lately it's cooking. It's cooking big time.
Well, and it was cooking tonight with a 4-0 win over. Not what only was the offense cooking, but UPL was cooking as well. He gets his fifth shutout of the season. An absolutely huge win for the Sabres. They cap off this 3-game homestand with another win, and the building was loud tonight. Key Bank was roaring, which was great to hear. Benson gets 2 goals. Sorokin has like a nice save, and I mean the save on Krebs was this guy just can't buy a goal. Honestly,
I know. I feel bad for the kid. I really do.
he just cannot buy a goal. But an awesome game tonight. Islanders didn't really generate many chances whatsoever. I mean, they had a handful of opportunities which were shut down, but only 21 shots on goal, and the Sabres pretty much had a grip on things for the game. But what do you think about the game tonight and the way that the team stepped up in a big moment?
Well, first of all, I want to say that it was, I feel like the Sabres don't really win games on like event nights. And tonight was Pride Night, and shout out to our gay supporters for the Sabres, and anybody that's listening to this podcast, like shout out to you. And I'm glad they finally won on like your night because, like I said, they don't win on Pride Night, they don't win on Children like Kids Day, they don't win on Military Appreciation. They don't really show out. So I'm happy that they won for like during an event night. But dude, this game was great. I mean, what can you even really say besides just everyone played so well? I mean, you can talk about like Zach Benson, dog.
the Benson the Benson Greenway line is just insane.
Cousins was phenomenal
It's
too,
yeah, Cousins is so like that line is just cooking
dude.
right now. We were talking before
Greenway,
the show about Greenway just being a menace out there and really using his body finally. And yeah, it's good to see. But that line has been great.
Greenway looks like fucking Eric Lindros out there, dude. He's big. He's using his body. He's trying to dangle guys. He's, taking the puck to the house. Like he looks phenomenal. Like he looks like a guy that's healthy and like ready to go down the stretch here. Everyone played well. Clifton annihilated Pierre Engvall, and then not much of a fighter, and
And then got
Anders Lee.
annihilated.
Anders Lee has multiple inches and like probably 30 pounds on him. So like, of course, like Anders Lee, the captain, is going to stick up for his guy, but Clifton was the one that laid that big old hit and did the right thing and hung in there during the fight. But everyone played fantastic. I feel like the only guy that you could maybe nitpick was Tage because he had multiple giveaways on the power play. But it was just fantastic. UPL was good. Like he was good, but also I feel like he was definitely untested.
You know what I think really set the tone was right in the beginning of the game. There was you probably know what I'm going to say. There was like the Sabres spent probably like 2 whole minutes in the offensive zone, and it was the Skinner line, and they were just doing work, and they didn't even score a goal or during that shift. It's not like they really even generated like a good scoring chance. But KeyBank was roaring just because you appreciate the effort. I mean, they literally spent probably 2 whole minutes in the zone, and I just thought to myself like, man, if they're gonna like be coming with this energy and like mentality like for this whole game, I think they're eventually gonna break down the Islanders. And again, when you're going against a goalie like Sorokin, it's important to get that goal early on, and they finally break it, and then the floodgates kind of open there in the second period a little bit. But I thought that really set the tone from the beginning. This team hasn't really started slow like it was so much in the beginning of the year. These last few weeks, they've actually been jumping out to leads and scoring first, and the energy's been great from the get go. I have to give them some props for that.
I agree, man. Like it's especially coming from the Skinner line. Like you don't really expect Skinner Krebs, like maybe Krebs, he's an energy guy, but Skinner Krebs Paterka to be like a mucking line and winning puck battles and cycling, and that's exactly what they did. And like you said, the crowd early cheers, and they did a little line change, and then all of a sudden, man, we just had the momentum. Like I feel they like you're right. They probably did discuss it in the locker room afterwards, just like saying like, "Hey, you guys set the tone for the game, and that was great job by them because man, we were coming this game. Like we were humming. The whole team was humming."
Dude, see, it's the wolf pack line. You just gotta put whoever you want to be an absolute dog. Just put them on a line with Krebs,
I
and
know
it's
it's
just like
like
the dogs run together. They just
he
morph.
might not be any like I have been arguing a little bit with Mike Harrington on Twitter about whether Krebs should play more minutes. And
He's been arguing with everybody for like 2 weeks.
I definitely see his point that he's got to score and stuff. But this is really the first time he's been playing with skill guys. And even if it doesn't work out, that like he's not like a three C like long term, and he's like our fourth line center. Like, dude, his effort like vibrates throughout the lineup, and like you said, dude, like Skinner was fucking on one today. He was incredible.
Yeah, Skinner was good. You know what's you know what's hilarious about Mike Harrington? I was gonna I was gonna tell you this, but I figured I'd save it for the show just to shock you. So we have like this is like episode like number 24, right? So
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you go on like our Spotify, we've had like three Spotify ratings for the longest time. Like they're all like 5 stars, and and you can't read reviews or nothing like that. But we recently got our fourth rating, and it was I'm assuming it was a 1 star because we went from 5 star rating to 4 star, right? So it was an
No
average.
way.
So I'm like, this is probably fucking Mike Harrington because he would do that shit
Did
because
you
we've
read
been
his
arguing
replies?
with him so much, and he
You
probably
read his
hates us.
replies. So Mike's shout out. I mean, shout out, Mike. You've been in the business for a while. Like, you've been in the business for quite a while. But man, the imagery of him just like, fuck these guys. I'm gonna give him a 1 star review is so funny.
Yeah.
And honestly, if he did do that, like, fair play to you. Fair play. That is funny.
And if he didn't do it, and it was just someone listening, like we can't read your review, so just like send us an email and give us that feedback. That would be great. We probably won't change anything, but it'd be good to hear what you want to say to us. Clearly,
That's
so
really funny, actually.
um,
Just that imagery is in my head, and it's great.
I thought that it was just like dying. So, like we've just been like going at Mike online. It's so funny. But I think the other thing to note quickly is the fact that in the Detroit game, UPL got taken out a couple times, and it did seem like maybe there was a talking to on the team, or even just amongst themselves, maybe in the locker room, because there was nothing like crazy tonight, but a couple times where guys got sticks in close on UPL or bodies in, and there was definitely a response in front of the net. So that was pretty good to see. What do you think about that?
Yeah, dude. Anytime they breathed on UPL, guys were hugging other guys and face washing and getting them out. Like I feel like the coaching staff got in their ass about that because it looked pretty bad the other day. Like it was like, all right, like someone do something. Like your goalie's getting ran over.
Yeah,
But tonight they were like, we ain't letting that shit happen again. Against a much tougher team, I will say. The Islanders have some shitters in their lineup that'll like pummel your face in. So props to the Sabres for doing that. That's out of character for them, and I'm sure UPL appreciated it.
yeah, for sure. I mean, UPL's been playing like an absolute dog. We were just talking about before about how like if the Sabres do end up going on like a miraculous run and like end up breaking the drought this season on the back of UPL, like can he get some Vezina votes? Like he's
Dude,
playing really, really good hockey, man.
I feel like if we go on this miracle run and mid-April comes and goes and the Sabres are in the playoffs, he has to finish like third in the Vezina voting. Like there's be no way. Like it would be like Shesterkin and then I'm not sure Ottinger maybe, and then it would have to be like UPL. I'm probably forgetting guys like Hellebuck and stuff. But dude, he deserves credit. At
Demko.
least finish in the top five. He's been unreal. Like this guy, he just looks so different, man.
Oh, he looks so different. I think like to me, it's like he kind of looks like Levi out there, but just as far as like the composure goes, I feel like he really benefited. I mean, he absolutely benefited from having Levi here and just having competition and needing to kind of take that job. But there's just I feel like he probably picked up some elements from Levi, and maybe the most important thing was just like having some confidence and swagger. I mean, now I don't. I'm like I'm so confident when he's in net. It's crazy. Like, and I was never that way. But seeing his composure, like when guys get the puck and they're right in front of him, like he's not making the first move. He's just staying patient and he's just being like, okay, I'm right here. I'm in position, and he's not really caught out of position too much anymore. And yeah, I mean, he's been playing great. Plus, he's crushing it for my fantasy hockey team, so I can't complain.
Dude, for me, it's the puck tracking. It's the puck tracking and not making himself small anymore. Like there was a time, like a prime example of this. The Islanders were on the power play, and there was a cross ice pass. Barzell, I think, passed it across ice from left to right, and UPL slid over, challenged the shooter and made the save. And it's like that was missing from his game
Yeah,
for a while.
yeah.
And he just seems so confident. Like if
There's
this is
also no
the guy,
rebounds. Like
no, yeah, you're right.
he's not coughing stuff up. And how many times have you seen him just catch a puck? Like he's seeing the puck. He's not letting rebounds go. He's playing really good.
even if he does like drop a rebound around here and there, I feel like the team is much better at cleaning that up too.
Yeah, and the other thing I think he's really good at is stick, like using the stick. Like he
Dude,
plays the puck good along the
he's a pretty
boards, and
good passer. He's a pretty
yeah,
good passer. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
I'm like, where'd this come from, dude? Like, holy shit! Like he's feeding guys like up to the blue line and shit with
I know. I'm
like
waiting for him to start getting me assists in fantasy.
one of these days, dude, he's gonna spring someone for a breakaway, like catching somebody on a bad change. Because you're right, man. He's a decent enough puck handler. And remember the days of Miller, dude? Amazing goalie, but his puck handling skills were dog water. He was horrible at it. It was like
Who?
just sit in the net. Like I remember fights. People would be like, just play goal, like stop playing the puck. I don't have that feeling with UPL. I feel like he's a good puck handler.
No, yeah, he's good. He is good with the stick. I'm dying. I'm a little distracted. I'm laughing because I just looked at this tweet you sent me from the Coyotes Twitter account that
Oh my
almost it
god,
tasted like mom's spaghetti.
with Eminem, dude.
That is a good one. That is a good one. I
Team
like
Twitter
that.
accounts, man. Team Twitter accounts make me laugh. I love it. I'd probably when we're out of here, I'll go in the Islanders Twitter when they post the final and just save all the Sabres memes that people post because they're just so funny.
So before we have some other discussion points to get to here
Yeah,
regarding
we'll
the
talk about
Sabres, but
less
but
fun things.
but let's just review real quick before we do that, kind of like where we are in the standings here. So Money Puck right now has, after tonight's win, they have our percentage of playoffs at 6%, which is kind of what we were thinking, like in anticipating that maybe will go up to, I don't know, 8 or 9% with a win against Detroit on on Saturday, which I which I believe is actually another
It's twelve
evening
thirty.
game
Yeah,
or
it's twelve
another
thirty.
afternoon game. Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
So potentially we're probably at this point in time. I think we're probably battling for that last playoff spot more so. I mean, obviously the Red Wings, but probably more the Islanders. But yeah, so we're currently, if you so Money Puck has us at 6%. A win on Saturday would certainly help things. But if you look at the wild card standings right now, we are actually, you know what? Let me just get sorted out here again. So the Sabres are 3 points out of a playoff spot, with Washington tied with them in points, but Washington does have 3 games in hand. So Washington's still a factor, and then you have the Islanders and Detroit both ahead of both of us by 3 points. And as far as those teams go, Detroit has 1 game in hand on us, which I'm not totally concerned with, especially if we beat them this Saturday. And then Islanders have 1 game in hand, or 2 games in hand. So that's where we're at. So there's a little bit of, opponents having more games than us left, but as far as actual points go, they're 3 points out, much better than they were looking a couple weeks ago. And who would have thought we'd be in
Listen,
this position right now?
a couple weeks ago it was like 10, 12. Like
Yeah,
even if teams like go 1-1, or even if they win their games, just keep pace. That's all you got to do is keep pace. We're playing these teams too. Like we have another matchup with Washington.
we have
Equal,
two more against Detroit.
yeah. We so you're right. Like just keep winning, man. Just keep winning, and it'll all wash out in the end. And obviously, it's a long shot. Like it's a long shot. We haven't played well for a majority of the season, but if you get hot at the end, you get hot at the end. Like this is the team that we thought we were getting in the beginning of the year. So if we play like this at the end, like hey, shit just happens, and we finally like got it, kicked it into gear, and let's just keep it rolling.
Yeah. So I mean, you have 2 more games against Detroit, and you have 2 games against Washington still.
Those are
So
huge.
those
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 are all going to be huge games.
those are huge games, and both games against Washington are at home.
Okay.
So that's helpful. You also have a game left against Philly.
Yeah, and Philly, I think I was looking at Philly's schedule. Dude, I think Philly ultimately might drop out of the third spot in the Metro. Like they're fighting with the Islanders for like, that wild card spot or that third spot in the Metro.
Yeah,
Philly's schedule is terrifying. Like they play Boston multiple times, Toronto multiple times, Carolina multiple times. Like that is a terrifying position to be in when you're only on 76 points.
yeah,
Teams can catch up to that quickly.
yeah. So I mean, if that, so who catches them? The Islanders.
Islanders, yeah. And then they drop into like where the Islanders are, like
Right.
against us. So like it's really like a, let's see, it's a one, two, three, four, five, and I guess you can still count the Penguins and the Devils, even though they're like those teams are not very good. It's like a one, two, three, four. It's a five-team race for two or three spots.
Yeah, but that's why it's so tough, man. Because like we were saying all along, it's like even though they were within striking distance a lot of the season, 7 points back, like 6 points back here, 8 points back. It's like there's so many teams in front of you, so like that's where the odds are low for sure. But like you said, if you just string together some wins, things happen. Like it's just as the games dwindle down, those games in hand, everything starts evening out, and then you never know what's going to happen with just those last couple of games of the season. So just keep taking care of your business. And the one thing I'll say that I like is interviews with the players now, whether it's Byram, Benson was just on Sabres Live, talking with some of the guys after the games. They're they're not saying like, "Oh, we're not scoreboard watching." Like they're saying, "Oh no, we're paying attention to what's going on around." And I think that's good because you have to. Like you have, and I know they're doing that anyways. Like it's you're not not going to be doing that. But I don't know. I just kind of like what I'm hearing from the guys and the pressers and stuff. And I'll let you say before we transition. I know you got something to say, so I'll let you take over that. But I like the
Dude, I
attitude in
was
the locker room right
itching.
now.
I was
I know.
itching
I
to kick
saw
us
you. I
off.
saw you bumping up.
That's too funny, dude. Okay, so a couple weeks ago, Kyle Oposo made it public in an interview with Lance Lysowski of the Buffalo News. Great reporter. Shout out Lance. We love you.
Yeah, Lance is great.
Um, he
Way better than
told,
Mike.
he pretty much said, I told Kevin Adams like what I wanted, and obviously, Poso got traded. Well, that was your team's captain. How do you think it made? I want to hear your thoughts. How do you think it made the players feel that your captain, you know, didn't believe that you guys could make the playoff push? Like I am of the opinion that they're kind of like, well, fuck him then.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, this segues. I mean, you went right where I wanted you to go with this because one of the things we wanted to talk about was the captaincy and kind of looking ahead, and is the roster better off now with some of the maybe additions by subtractions and whatnot, and getting some of the older players off the roster. And again, like this isn't to shit on a post or anything. We're thankful for everything he gave
Yeah,
the
great
franchise and
guy,
stuff over the
great
years. Yeah,
great player.
yeah, exactly. But it is that like the title of the episode is going to say is that changing of the guard, and I think it's when if that's something that got around to the guys that like we don't actually believe that this can happen or whatnot, then I mean that's your captain saying that. I mean that's like going to work every day and not believing in what you're doing. Like
And he was
there's no
right. Like
intrinsic, yeah,
he
there's
had
no
every
intrinsic
right to say
motivation
that.
there.
He had every right to like feel like that because I mean the odds are low and he's on the best team in the league now. So like good for him. But from a player standpoint, I'm sure that they were like, listen, like he didn't believe in us. Let's go prove him wrong. Like that shit galvanizes the guys. And
Yeah,
even with Casey's comments, we can speak on those too.
yeah, we'll get to those in a minute, but I think the biggest thing with that is the guys that are, if they're thinking now that okay, well the guys who are hurting us were the older players, as much as we look up to those guys and things. Eric Johnson on the ice was a liability. Oposo was scoring, sure, and he had some counting stats, but like he was ultimately a liability on ice. He didn't need to be on the power play. Like he just didn't need to be on the power play. Like now Bo Byram's on the power play instead. Like it's
Yeah.
just there, like there's better options. And honestly, like I'd rather have Olafson on the power play, and he's getting more ice time now with Johnson going out and Oposo being traded. It's just it's easier for these guys now to be like, okay, this is our team, this is how we want to play, and we can do it now because we're not being told not to, and we're not being held back by some of these other players, and now it's time for us to kind of take the reins, and I think that's kind of helped them at home because it seems like they're playing more confident, and if that transition is just exactly what they needed, then that's important for Don's favorite word. Another one of Don's favorite words lately, the psyche of the team is apparently the best it's ever been. But I actually think that might be true now. I actually think that might be true.
Well, all season, what did Don say? They want to play fast. They want to play with tempo. The Sabres got rid of their three slowest skaters, and as big of a fan of as we are of Casey Middlestat, not exactly a burner. You know, the Sabres look faster now than they have all season. They
Yep.
are carrying the puck with confidence, with speed. They broke the trap today. Like the Islanders wanted to play a grinded out, like muck it up game. We're gonna stack three guys at the blue line and make you beat us, and we did that, and that's exciting for me, and that proves to me that they have guys that can go and break that style because if Middlestat and Johnson and Oposo are all on the ice, dude, that's slow. That's a slow hockey,
Yeah.
and they just look much faster.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree, man. So, who do you think? Before we get into Middlestat and his comments, which I think are probably being overblown a little bit, but I still want to talk about them because it'll be interesting to hear what you have to say. But as far as like looking ahead, captaincy wise, like where do you think the Sabres are going to go with that?
Um, I
Like, do you
think
have
that
options? Like who? Like I guess like maybe three guys you'd say like would be your top guys.
well, I will just say that Rasmus Dahlin is going to be the next captain of this team, but the leadership group overall will also include an Alex Tuck, a Dylan Cousins, even a Tage, hell, even a Bowen Byram now. Like he fits right in the age group, and
Yep.
his play on the ice is incredible. But personally, I feel like this has been Dahlin's, like he's been captain in waiting for at least 2 years now. So I think it's going to be him, and it wouldn't necessarily be a mistake to not be Dahlin, but he's my preference.
Yeah,
What
I
about you?
think. Yeah, I'm with you there. I would be very surprised if Darlene wasn't the choice for the C. If I had to give a power ranking, I'd go Darlene one, and then I'd actually put Cousins second. And honestly, as of right now, as crazy as this might sound, I'd probably put Byram as number three, especially if he keeps like I don't or well, I guess I'm forgetting about Tuck there. So I'd probably go Darlene, uh, Cousins, Tuck as far as
Yeah,
like my
right.
order. Byram would be an honorable mention. I would not put Tage anywhere near this list.
Yeah, let
As
him just concentrate on scoring goals and doing cool, fun shit.
yeah, I just think he's a good player, and if he's hurt this year or whatever, but like yeah, I don't think he's I don't necessarily look at him as like a leader, and maybe he is. He can prove me wrong. I don't know, but I think those other guys are better options as far as like having the personality and the influence in the room, the pull to kind of be like, all right, guys, like this is what we're doing and things like that. So, Darlene's obviously got a lot of time on task with the Sabres and been in the league a while, so he'd be my top choice as far as captaincy
It's
goes.
it's great because there's no shortage of options. Like I feel
Yeah,
like any one of Dahlin, Tucker, Cousins would make sense,
yeah.
and I don't think you'd get much complaint. Like obviously we have our preferences and everyone has their preference, but I feel like this is especially with the older guy with the Poso gone. I think all three of those guys are going to take this opportunity to. They want that C. They want that letter on their chests.
Yeah, it's very clear to me that there's a reinvigoration in the team, and that to me makes it very. It all but affirms that I think they needed to move on from some players, and they really needed to just kind of let this team transition now to these younger guys because you can see it on the ice. It's probably better in the locker room, and yeah, that's 100% where I am right now.
Do you slap the C on one of those players now, or do you wait until it's done and dusted and we do it in the off season, like as like a pump up the city for the fall kind of thing?
Well, let's see here. Let me take a look at the schedule real quick and
I
see if
only
it makes
ask,
sense.
I only ask because the Flyers did name a captain in season
Yeah,
recently, like within the last month.
yeah. I mean, I don't. I guess I'd be surprised if they did that. I
Yeah,
wouldn't
me too.
like.
Me too.
I wouldn't be against it if they did though. If you look at like It would just be badass, like you said, though, to like reveal it like prior to like a game or something. Like Washington's like our third last game, like at home. Like if that's our last home game, like if that game means a lot, like that'd be kind of sick. Like, all right, we're revealing our captain for next year. It's Rasmus Dahlin, and we're about to play Washington. We got it, like,
We
so
need
that
this
would be
game to make the
fun.
playoffs, you know.
They're also our first game in April, so like if you wanted to do something like that for like the last month of the season, you got 7 games in April. But yeah, I wouldn't be against it if they did it. Timing would be interesting. But speaking of captains, here's some quick history for you. I got a couple
Let's
trivia
go. I love
questions.
these little tidbits.
You would know. I'm asking you because I would not know, but you might know for sure. All right, who do you think is the longest tenured captain for the Sabres
In
historically
Sabres history?
in Sabres history?
Fuck, dude.
As far as like most seasons, most games,
Was LaFontaine a captain?
he was
Not him though.
not him,
Um,
but he has
Gilbert,
the record for he has the record for most points in a season for the
Gilbert
Sabres.
Perreault.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah,
Yeah, that is correct.
yeah. 1975. Like, come on. Like, we have not really had a. How long was Gilbert captain? I feel like he was with us for. I mean, forever. I mean, he's one of our best ever players.
So he was captain for 6 seasons,
Okay,
which
that's
was
it.
which was
Fuck.
382 games.
Oh my
Do you
god, it
have a
feels like
guess who the number two might be? It's not LaFontaine.
it's not LaFontaine. I have no idea.
Danny Gare.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay, so
Five
before
five seasons and
listen,
311 games.
this is before our time. Okay, this is
Yeah,
before
yeah,
our
yeah, yeah.
time. I feel like
But
lately, dude, the captaincy has just been like a you're getting traded, omen.
yeah, well, I was on Hockey Reference the other day looking up some of this because I knew we were going to talk about captains. So I'm like, oh, let's just like look up some history stuff. But I saw LaFontaine. So the year I was born, actually, 92. The
Yep, he was
92-93 season, he had 148 points.
dude. If he never got hurt, he would have been one of the all-time leading scorers in NHL history. He was an incredible hockey player.
He was going off that year. But all right, so let's get into. You want to talk about Middlestat real quick here?
Yeah, it was really funny. What did he say? Like his actual quote? You have it. What was his actual quote?
No, I didn't. I don't have his actual quote. I,
Okay,
I actually didn't
sum it
even
up for
see
me
like
then.
the video real quick, but I mean I did look at it, but basically it was kind of like they asked him how it was after his first home game, and the reporter asked him like,
It
"Oh,
wasn't even
how
a
did?"
game. It was practice.
No, I think it was after a game.
Oh, I think it was practice. But go ahead.
Oh, I'm pretty sure it was a game because they were like, "Oh, how did it feel to like
Okay, you're
have the
right. You're
building
right. You're right.
full and play and he something along the lines of like." Oh yeah, it was nice to have the building full. It's a little bit different from where I was before, and everyone heard that and kind of ran with it.
Well, because
And so
he also said, they asked him about practice in the morning, and he
yeah,
said
yeah, yeah. This is
that
okay. So
was the
this is the
hard
practice one.
that was the hardest I've ever skated in a practice.
Yeah, he said
Dude,
I've never I haven't sweat like that in a practice in forever or something.
I got some thoughts because this was funny to me. I think it might have been Nikita Zadorov that was like, "Oh yeah, Nathan McKinnon was on our team. He was regulating what we ate. He pushed us hard in practice, like blah blah." So Casey coming to a new team was probably like, "I gotta bust my ass in practice." And with the altitude in Colorado, dude, that shit's no joke. Like I've been to Colorado. It's hard to breathe if you're not used to it. So it was just really funny to see all the Sabres fans being like, "Oh, Casey's making these comments of what is Don doing in practice, blah blah blah. Is he not like pushing the guys?" And it's like, come on, guys, like he's just trying to make a new impression on his new team, you know?
I know. So I don't have as much of an issue with that one.
It
Although
was pretty funny.
I feel like it's probably true. Honestly, like
I
I don't
mean,
know.
difference in teams, guy, a Stanley Cup team and a team that's before last week and this week was out of the playoffs, like
Yeah,
not even close.
yeah. I don't have a problem with either one. At least like as I think it's fair to foul. Like I think it's kind of foul. Like especially the building full one. Like that kind of felt
That
like
was
a
a shot. That
yeah.
was
That
a
kind of
shot.
felt like a shot at the fans, which I don't mess with that. Like it's not as It's not as bad as Eichel's, definitely, but it did feel like a shot. But I mean, honestly, like
You
it
know,
doesn't bother me. Like I'm not paying it any mind anymore. Like
he could have
I'm
played
still gonna
better.
root for him there.
Just play better, and maybe there'll be more than 12,000 fans in the stands.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like he before last season. I mean, he wasn't doing much, but I'll be rooting for him there. He had his first goal the other night. It was actually pretty nice.
Yeah, nice goal.
Yeah, yeah, and I think they've won all three games since he's been there. I don't know exactly, but other than that, the only other thing I wanted to get to is Adams was asked about a Jack Quinn return, and his answer was kind of interesting. He didn't necessarily rule it in, but he didn't rule it out either, and just kind of said like, he's recovering, and we want to make sure that we do the right thing. But he's basically said like the circumstances might dictate things. So it's kind of interesting that you don't you don't think about it because he's been gone for a lot this year. But if he is able to come back at some point at the end of the season, if we are in like a little late playoff push, that could be like a little dark horse boost there for the roster if they need it.
Yeah, I mean, imagine we do sneak in and he comes back for game one of playoffs. Like, that would be a massive boost.
Yeah, that would it'd be like we'd be like Vegas Golden Knighting it.
That's funny.
All right, anything else here before we head out?
I got nothing. Who are our next opponents and when do we play?
Oh yeah, okay. Well, we got the big one Saturday, and that'll be the Red
12:30.
Wings. Yep. So that's
12:30,
twelve
baby.
thirty. Oh shit! And then we go, and then we got the West Coast swing. So Seattle on Monday, and then we got a back to back. We go to Vancouver on Tuesday. Those games are both at 10, and then Edmonton on Thursday, Calgary on Sunday. So that's the
Big time
next.
road trip.
Yeah,
Big
big
time road
time
trip
road
here.
trip, 5 in a row. So you got 5 in a row at home coming up here. So lots of travel time, and but at least we'll probably record next Wednesday. I'm thinking because we
Yeah,
don't play.
in between games. Yep.
Yep. So before we speak again, we will have played Detroit, Seattle, and Vancouver. So we'll see. We'll see what happens in those games. Actually, I
Listen,
wanted to check. Yeah, go ahead.
they're making us hope, you know.
Yeah,
They're doing the thing that we wanted them to do, and if they keep it going, just it's going to be incredible. So I'm ready to be let down and I'm ready to be excited. I'm good both ways. Let's just keep it running here.
yeah, and Seattle and Washington right now are 0-0 in the first. So
Okay.
Seattle would help us out tonight if they're able to get a win. No other games of consequence really tonight that haven't finished yet. And depending on when you're listening, this might be different. But Seattle's playing Washington tonight, so hopefully they can pull us out a win, and that would be helpful. But other than that, I think that's gonna do it for this. We could catch up on some of the around the league stuff and whatnot, in other shows, unless there's something you're really dying to talk about.
I'm dying. Just before we head out, we got to talk about what Minnesota did the other day, and we got to talk about dude. We got to touch on Matt Rempe.
All
Fuck,
right, all right, all right, all
dude,
right.
we can't cut it short. We can't cut this short. I'm pumped. I want to talk more hockey.
All right, we got the Saber stuff out of the way. That was good. All right, let's go. Let's go around the league.
It's real quick. Those are the only two things that you really need to talk about. Minnesota. If you guys haven't seen, you got to find the clip. It was incredible. They're in overtime. They're a bunch of points back. They're playing Nashville. The game is in overtime, and if if they need 2 points, they pull their goalie and even strength in overtime to give themselves a 4-on-3 and score to win the game. Incredible
With like a
balls.
minute left, I think.
And I was aware of the rule, but were you aware of the rule that if you pull your
No,
goalie in overtime, that you don't get the loser point if
no.
the
I
opponent
thought people
scores?
were joking online
No,
afterwards,
dude.
and then people were like,
Yeah,
"This is a real
that's a
thing." I'm like, "Are
rule.
you kidding me?"
It's insane. So that takes massive balls. Minnesota basically just said like, "Hey, 1 point and 0 points are the same."
Yeah, I mean that makes total sense.
Don would never.
Well, the reason I thought this was, and it's probably actually good we are talking about this because in the Saber situation right now, I mean, well, maybe not as applicable now because we're only 3 points out, but we still need every single point. So here's a question for no, you probably wouldn't, but I was just gonna say like if by chance like in Detroit on Saturday like it's tied with like a few minutes left, that would be ballsy if Don decided to pull a goalie
It
to
would
try and get
be
the two.
I even if like it didn't work out, I'd be like just props to you for even trying.
Because I
I
mean
don't think
that would be
I think
huge.
I don't think he would do it though. I
Yeah,
don't.
yeah. No, you can't now. I mean, if it would be more applicable because at that when Minnesota did it, they were I
9, I
think
think.
9 points out, right? So the Sabres are not there anymore. Now you're 3 points out. Again, you still have to catch up, but you never know what can happen. But it is an interesting, at least it is an interesting thought. I mean, you're going to have teams maybe doing this a little bit more now because at the end of the day, like you said, yeah, I mean, I mean, that 2 points or one, I mean, that could be, or 2 points or none. If you need to get points, it's a big difference for sure. So,
So this was the first time this happened in the NHL. The only time I've ever seen this happen was in the KHL. Um, it might have been Siska, it might have been CSKA Moscow, or one of the other big teams. But Sergei Fedorov runs one of the big teams. It might be Putin's team. I'm not sure which team it is. So they did this, and they have the same rule where like if you pull your goalie in overtime, you don't get the point, and everyone was like, "Holy shit!" Like we've never seen this before. So it was cool to see it happen then, like 5 years ago, and then see it happen in the NHL. Like man, that like you said though, they're super desperate, so it makes a lot of sense.
the NHL just honestly needs to get away with the lose your point anyways, and
Well,
just like
give me a three
make it.
two one point system. 3-2-1. Three points for a regulation win, 2 points for an overtime shootout win, and 1 point for overtime shootout loss. That would incentivize regulation wins.
Yeah, that makes sense. What was it before they did the 2-1? Wasn't it just
It
two
was
and two and
ties.
zero?
There was ties
Oh yeah, there's ties. Yeah, yeah.
before the lockout. There was ties.
And ties were worth one,
Yeah, both teams would get one. Yeah,
and wins were three or two.
two.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Yeah, interesting though. And interesting. I mean, it worked out for them, and who knows how often that's going to work out. But if you need points, then whatever. But and then thankfully, well, actually, yeah, thankfully we're not playing the Rangers anymore because if we were,
Oh, dude,
we'd
I
probably
was
have
fuming.
guys leaving in a stretcher because of Matt Rempe.
This guy, I was excited for him. Like the NHL doesn't have like there's like what maybe 4 or 5 of this style player in the league, and dude, he's out of control. He's out of control. That hit he threw on Jonas Siegenthaler the other day was absolute bullshit. He chicken winged his arm out and clocked him in the head. Like, what are you doing, bro? Like, you can't use the excuse that you're 6'6" or 7. Learn to hit. Learn to hit. You can hit to hurt people, but you can't hit to injure people. Like that was bullshit.
He just is a menace against the Devils because he had the hit against Bastion and then this one.
Well, the funny thing is, the Devils traded for Curtis McDermott, who's like a known heavyweight, and this guy just chased Rempe all over the ice, and he wouldn't fight him, and then he does this bullshit, and he gets kicked out, and when he leaves, he starts waving at the Devils bench, and it's like, dude, you didn't even answer the bell, like you got kicked out, like you didn't even give this heavyweight a chance to give retribution for the situation, so
Yeah,
I don't
the
know how
waving
long.
is lame. It makes it look a little bit more theatrical. Like and
Yeah, it
guys
was.
hate that stuff like that. I don't like that.
I
And the
thought we
hit
were
was
over
garbage.
this. I thought the NHL was over this like staged bullshit and like these goons, but like it's fun to see a guy fighting, and I mean their fights were incredible. His fights are incredible because there's no defense. You're just throwing haymakers.
Yeah,
Just you got to control yourself, man. Like you're not long for this league if you're gonna be a liability and cost your team like penalties all the time, and then like get kicked out and be suspended. Like
yeah.
you're
I mean,
not
you
long
got
for the
four
league.
games, so
Yeah, yeah, good. Yeah, finally, like did a decent enough suspension. But I don't think
well,
he's
you
long for
got
the
to. If
league.
you're the NHL, you gotta because at this rate, it's like you got to send a message, or
This
you're
guy's
just gonna
hurting
keep
guys
doing
every
it.
game.
So
He's played
yeah,
like what 5? He's played what like seven games. He's gotten kicked out of 3 of them.
yeah. He had the hit on Labushkin, which was probably the cleanest out of all of them, but he still left his feet.
He
and
left his
then
feet, and I feel like he skated the entire surface of the ice to go hit him. Like there was a
yeah, yeah.
textbook charge. This
And
guy's
people were
so
saying like 3 strides. It's like, yeah, 3 strides, but I mean, there's
yeah,
clear intent there.
300 strides, dude.
The guy's like Hulk, so like, come on.
He's hauling ass to put Labushkin into the sixth wall.
Yeah,
And
like
he, and he
he wasn't just trying to like knock him off the puck. He was trying to take him out for the next week.
Yeah, who did he injure the first time? Oh, Nathan Bastian from the
Yeah,
Devils.
Bastion. Yeah.
This guy is just torturing the Devils. I feel bad for them. Jesus.
But that's the game where he had the Bastion thing, and then he also like sucker punched someone from behind. Like, I
Yeah,
don't
like
know.
kid's out of control. You, like get your shit up. Like get your player under control because this is not good for the league. Like it was fun for like a second. Now I'm completely over it.
You want to get into the we should finish it off with one more laugh and the bobblehead blunder.
Oh man. So I think this was like I think it was a work, dude. I don't think it was real. It was a work.
Are you sure?
Yes, because the Penguins posted an edited video with like former players like pretending to take a steal a vehicle with like Yarmer Yager bobbleheads. So I
So it
think we
wasn't. So it wasn't a real thing.
no, I think we got trolled. I think we got worked on the internet. It was a it was an old fashioned wrestling work.
They went like next level then.
I know, which is kind of fun. I like that. So
So the whole thing with this was that they tweeted that they were doing a Yarmer Yager bobblehead night, and that they all got stolen on the way
yeah,
to the arena.
the vehicle got stolen with the bobbleheads.
And that fans who went were gonna get like a voucher so they could like claim it at a later date or something. But
Yeah, and then if you scroll down a little bit more on their Twitter, like obviously they played. I think they played tonight, so you'd have to like get past all the game stuff. But they tweeted out a video. I think it was like Marc Andre Fleury and like a couple other players like stealing a vehicle with like the bobbleheads and shit. It was pretty funny. So like good on them for having fun with it on social media.
Yager actually posted a. Did you see Yager's tweet?
No, no,
So he tweets this is like a picture of the bobblehead,
yeah.
and it says, "Did anybody see my bobbleheads? 18,000 of them actually." He says, "I got one, so we're missing 17,999."
That's so
And that's his
funny.
actual account. That's so funny.
Yeah, he's a funny guy on there, man. He's a funny guy.
All right, so apparently this was just a big, discombobulation, but
Uh, I think we can wrap it up now. I think we can wrap it up. I'm sorry that my internet went out, and you'll do a good job of editing, so
yeah.
I'm confident in you.
Oh
But
yeah,
that's the
the
first time.
listeners are gonna be like, "What's he even talking about?" Like
Yeah.
this is just edited so smoothly. But that's gonna do it, folks. So we are riding high after the Sabres again win 4-0 against the Islanders tonight, crawling back in this wild card race, 3 points out with what do we got left? 13 games, or no? This we got
um,
15 games
15
left.
million. Yep, 15 left.
So 15 games left in the season with some intriguing matchups against some teams that they're directly competing with coming up. So it's going to be a fun few weeks here. This is what we wanted. This is what we were hoping for all season. So it's finally here. Hoping everyone's enjoying the ride, and we will be here with you every week as we progress through the season. But if you're listening, you know what to do. Check us out. Subscribe to this show. We're also on YouTube. We'll be posting that. Follow us on Twitter. And we will see everybody in the next episode.
Peace.
Later.